Plug the machine into a 3-phase power supply and turn the machine on via the switch underneath the conveyor. Once the software loads, press the blue safety reset button. The machine has an air regulator under the conveyor at the rear of the machine. Slide the valve to the right to turn it on. The home screen controls the machine's basic functions. Select one of the 6 programs from the menu and activate it via the start and stop buttons. The machine won't run without a program selected. The monitor panel shows the machine's current running speed. At the bottom of the screen are buttons for the other pages. The setup page allows you to control all the parameters of the machine manually and save those values as a program. Through the motor control panel, you can control the conveyor, oscillation, and brush head individually. The sliders change the current value. Height control is where you can raise and lower the head. The home button sends the carriage to its highest point, which is useful for brush changes, maintenance and resetting the actuators if needed. There is also a toggle button that changes which way brushes rotate, and below it is the blower button that turns on the air jets manually. The parameters page is where you can view and adjust all the values for all programs. Just select the value you want to change, input the new value, and press Enter. The alarms page will show you if the machine has detected a fault. The alarm indicator will light up in red if this is the case. The alarms for left door and right door indicate when the doors have been left open. Check that the doors are closed and press the safety reset button on the front panel. Height alarm occurs when the brush head does not raise or lower evenly. When there is 2 mm difference in height between the left and right sides, the machine will stop to avoid damage. When this alarm occurs, press the home button in the height control menu of the setup screen to reset the head. The left and right actuators, which lift the carriage up and down, have their own alarms which can be reset by the button in between them. The remaining alarms are for the electrical components. If you get one of these errors, switch the machine off and leave it for 5 minutes. If the problem persists, then contact your service representative. Loading the brush heads couldn't be easier. The brushes just slide into the slots on the hub. Remember, the front row rotates in the opposite direction to the back row. The front row rotates clockwise, and the rear row rotates anticlockwise when the brushes are running forwards. This is an example of a brush head from the front row. The abrasive is facing the direction of rotation. And here's one from the back row, which has the abrasive facing the opposite way. Now it's time to mount the brush heads onto the carriage. Start by disconnecting the link arm from the motor to the carriage. You'll need the supplied 19 mm spanner for this. The carriage is now ready to roll out. You'll notice each mounting plate has 4 pegs. These correspond with the holes on the hub. Line up the hub to the pegs and insert the locking bolt. Hold onto the hub to stop it spinning while you tighten the bolt up with an 8mm Allen key. Here's a good view of the heads rotating in different directions. The hub on the right is the front row, and the one to the left is the back row. Once you've installed all the brush heads, slide the carriage back into position and reattach the link arm. We found the simplest way of calibrating the height is to go to the height control section of the setup page and lower the brushes down so they're just touching the conveyor deck, then raise them up slightly so they're just above it. This is where you want the brushes to be for a workpiece that's about 3/4 inches or 19mm thick. Press the height calibration button and enter 19mm, then save the value. As you can see here, the brushes are bending nicely and the abrasive is making good contact with the workpiece. Now that the height has been calibrated, you will only ever need to input the workpiece thickness and the brushes will be at the right height to sand nicely. Now that we're familiar with the PLC controls, have loaded the brushes, and calibrated the height, we can set up our first program. Set the machine running manually with the motor controls on the setup page. Make sure you've got the correct height set. Run a workpiece through and check the result. Adjust your settings using the sliders if you need to. When you're happy with the result, select the program you want to save from the drop-down menu and press the Save button. Once you've done that, you can just recall the program from the home screen and press Start, and the machine will automatically adjust to the saved settings. Fine adjustment of any of the saved programs can be done via the parameters page.